Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm your crypto sensei for the day and welcome back to the Satoshi Club. Now in today's video, we're going to be talking about the darknet market. It is a huge market and there's a few definitions that I need you guys to know, such as the dark web, such as the deep web, and some key differences between the two and how crypto ties into the whole story. So if you do enjoy the video, as always, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and check out the links down in the description below for some more socials from the Satoshi Club team itself. Pretty cool stuff. If you head on over onto the Twitter, you can keep up to date with anything crypto related, news-wise, drop-wise, and everything that you can, have some utility from yourself. So, don't hesitate to do that. But when it comes to the darknet market itself, it is a huge market, right? This is the dark web or the dark net, but it's not to be confused with the deep web. I'm going to talk about a few definitions in a minute or two, but in general, the dark web offers illicit goods for sale, so illegal stuff, often using cryptocurrencies as a method of payment. Now, even though a lot of the stuff on the dark web is actually legal, mostly crypto is being used for the illegal products and services or anything else that you can find, just because it is highly untraceable and it is a lot easier to use. Now, transactions in the darknet markets are anonymized, so that doesn't matter whether or not you're using crypto or not, it's going to be anonymous anyways, which is why there shouldn't be a negative connotation towards crypto itself. When it comes to, first of all, I had another video on money laundering. You can check that out on the left hand side. But, second of all, the whole idea of blaming crypto for a lot of this stuff going on within the world is not the best idea, because it simply happens pretty much everywhere. Now, I'm very sorry about that jet flying around or whatever it is. I hope it's going to stop in a second. But in any case, the darknet market is something that you should be very careful of using, or also trying to buy something off of it, because you could be succumbing to some implications later on, some consequences in the case that somebody finds out what you bought, or if they find it on customs, or if they track you in some way, shape, or form. So I personally never really went onto Tor or any of the ways to access the dark web markets, because I have no need for it, right? And probably you don't as well. Now, some of the few key takeaways I like to use is Investopedia, and as you guys probably may know from before, darknet markets are sites on the dark web where people can buy or sell illicit goods and services online. Transactions in the darknet markets are completely anonymous. They take place with crypto mostly, but also you are able to pay in different forms of stuff. Obviously, people like to prefer crypto, and what I was talking about before, I don't like to have a negative connotation when it comes to cryptocurrencies, because you are literally able to buy herbs or something else, or like tea or stuff that's actually legal on the darknet market, and stuff that you wouldn't be able to find in your country usually, and crypto is just a form of payment that allows you to do that very simply, whereas with fiat you couldn't achieve the same exact order. So there's good things and there's bad things about crypto, just like there is everywhere, there is in the darknet market. Now, they're all accessible via the Tor network. I don't know if you guys heard of it before. This is basically a different type of browser that you have to do a little bit of setup on to actually start using and entering the dark web. Now, a few key differences of the dark web versus the deep web. Well, it's a little bit different, right? And I read this article. I'm going to try and summarize it for you a little bit. The surface web, first of all, is the main web that we can all see all the time. So it's websites, it's Facebook, it's Google, it's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's YouTube, e-commerce, blogs, retail stores, online shops, online betting, gambling, anything. You can find anything on the surface web. But if you start moving down a little bit further into the deep web, you can find some stuff such as net banking, private forums, research papers, medical records, hidden wiki information, private networks as well, and a lot of this type of stuff. So it's all a little bit more hidden and it's not that easy to access, but it should not be confused with the dark web itself, where you're able to use Tor as your platform of choice. Illegal information can be accessed. It's very anonymous, and Silk Road as well, something that you can use to actually get into it. Now, the dark web, you shouldn't be messing around with it, because there is a lot of crazy stuff going on. There's a lot of very gory images and websites and stuff that you really don't want to visit ever in your life. But if you want to order, let's say, a tea that you can only find in Japan or something, you can easily order it over the dark web and have it delivered to your doorstep without anybody knowing. Or if you want to buy a present for somebody, you can do it over the dark web and nobody will know what you're nobody will see that you bought it for the wife or something. When the wife has access to your credit cards or something and you just want to buy something and surprise her, well, there you go, you can use the dark web. Could it be a little bit more complicated than heading on somewhere and buying in cash? Well, it could be, which is why not a lot of people actually use it. Now, there is a few purpose-built web browsers that allow you to access the dark web. Tor is one of the most important ones, and most of them just require a username and password if you actually want to get into it. It was originally used by cybercriminals, and I'm talking about Tor right now, and governments as well, but today advanced encryption technologies made the anonymization of web surfing completely hassle-free, no barriers to entry. Your 18-year-old, even a baby could get onto the dark web because of how easy it is right now. Now, obviously, this is not something that I'm promoting. I'm not promoting the use of the dark web at all because I never actually logged into Tor myself and probably never will unless I have a need to at some point in the future. But in general, it is something that, is there if you want to access it yourself. Now, the deep web, unlike the dark web, is just below the surface web right here. And you shouldn't be confusing the terminology deep web and dark web with one another because they're two completely different things. So some of the things that you can find in deep web content includes financial data, social security databases, email inboxes, social media, medical documentation, legal files, and all of this stuff that can actually be hacked and that is a very big target for hackers to actually get into. So the surface web is something that is out there. Everybody knows what the surface web is, but once you dig into the deep web, you can find a lot of confidential information, and that is why the deep web does succumb to a lot of hacks and exploits. Now, the dark web, on the other hand, is used most specifically for cybercrime, so it's on another level of crime going on. And if you guys didn't know, cybercrime is a sector that is growing day by day into the future, and it's not necessarily a good thing, but cybercrime protection itself and knowing how to protect yourself from cybercrime, knowing how to implement all of these resources and use them efficiently is going to be a huge field in the future. So if you wanted to read up on something about cybercrime, well, now's the time to do so because we are pretty early in the whole era. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about is how much of the internet is actually using the dark web and a few statistics that you guys may find interesting. Now, just before I continue, if you did find the video interesting up until now, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot to me. And I don't know if I've mentioned, I do have a different background at this point. I'm in London, so your crypto sensei from the Satoshi Club is becoming international slowly. So maybe I even show you around a little bit in one of the future videos if you do hit the subscribe button. Now, the country whose population has the largest per capita usage of the darknet platforms is India, believe it or not. Credit cards cost as little as $9 on the dark web markets. Payment data costs as little as $270 on the dark web, so you can find somebody's information. If you hire a private investigator at some point to find information about your, cheating spouse or whatever, you are able to do so on the dark web, and maybe your PI will actually use it. I'm just naming stuff off the top of my head right now. It can be used for literally anything in the world, and as you can see, it's pretty cheap buying all of this payment data as well. The dark web accounts for roughly 40% of the internet, so it is absolutely massive. Most commonly listed guns on dark web are pistols, making 84% of all of these category listings. Sorry about the background noise. Some guy is pushing like a carriage or something outside. Just some classic London stuff. But 50,000 extremist groups exist on the dark web, terrorism statistics tell us, which is probably the worst possible place on the dark web that you can find, except for those other places where you're going to see a lot of gory videos, a lot of just stuff that you just never want to really even think about in your life. 8.1% of listings on the darknet marketplaces are for illicit drugs, and Empire is one of the largest marketplaces, listing over 6,000 products. So it's absolutely massive. I might leave the link in the description down below of all of these statistics if you want to learn a little bit more. But one more pretty interesting one is that 60 of the biggest websites on there are around 750 terabytes in size, so you can see how massive the dark web actually is, constituting of almost 50% of the entire internet as a whole. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little insight on the dark web, deep web, and the obviously surface web as well, which is what we're using right now. It's how you're watching my YouTube video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you find something interesting and you learned something new today. And I really hope to see you all in the next video as well. But lastly, I'm not a financial advisor, and you should do your own due diligence before investing into anything in the crypto or Web3 world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Subscribe and follow Satoshi Club.